Welcome to your weekly UAS news update. We have 4 stories for you this week. An FAA NOTAM is creating mobile no-fly zones, and well, it's a bit of an issue. The FAA has reopened the comment period for BVLOS rulemaking, that's Part 108. Also, SkyeBrowse launches a new AI feature that improves 3D models at crash scenes. And then lastly, a drone that helps a 96-year-old woman being saved from a fire in Texas. Let's get to it. And first up, this week, the FAA has issued a security notice that is creating a new mobile no-fly zones that could affect pilots nationwide, especially in urban areas. Now, this notice is an FTC NOTAM, which is 6/4375, if you want to look it up. This was issued on January 16th. It prohibits drones from flying within 3,000 feet laterally and 1,000 feet above any stationary and mobile assets from the Department of Defense, the Department of Energy, and the Department of Homeland Security. Now, the FAA is classifying this as a national defense airspace. The big problem here is that there's no real practical way for us pilots to know where these are actually moving. Obviously, these are restricted areas that you want to avoid. Unlike a TFR for a stadium, for example, these assets are not going to show up on your favorite Lens app or other maps that are showing stuff like that, because they're not even on the FAA TFR website, because these actually would be a major operational security issue for a federal agent. Now, the FAA has issued guidance, and I'm going to read it to you directly from what the FAA Help Desk has sent. But before I read that, I do want to note that we are being told that this NOTAM is being reworked, but as of this recording, the NOTAM is still active. So here's what the FAA Help Desk said. It's a bit long, but I want you to get that guidance. This NOTAM is a revision of earlier FAA NOTAMs dating back several years. The FAA UAS Support Center guidance for the NOTAM is 1. Regardless of operating rules, Part 107, Part 91, or 44809, all drone operators are required to conduct due diligence prior to taking off. This includes ensuring that the UAS is appropriately registered and compliant with Part 89 remote identification of unmanned aircraft. An essential component of this due diligence is an analysis and determination of the airspace in which you will be flying. Remote pilots/operators should be using multiple readily available online resources such as Before You Fly Service, UAS Facility Map, and VFR sectional charts. At any time during an operation, if the remote pilot/operator has reasons to believe an operation as described in the NOTAM is staging or occurring, and the UAS operation may be within the distance provided in the NOTAM, then the remote pilot/operator should land the drone until they can ensure compliance with the NOTAM's requirements. At any time during the operation, if the remote pilot/operator is approached by a federal agent and advised that they are operating within a TFR, then the remote pilot should cease operation. That's it, really. It's really interesting. I hope this changes. This is an absolute nightmare for pilots that could be in violation without ever noting, and just not something that is acceptable for our community. Next up, another important update from the FAA. They are actually reopening a comment period for the Beyond Visual Line of Sight BVLOS rulemaking. That was Part 108. If you remember, if you've been following for a while, we talked about this at the end of last year-ish. But in this case, you do have to act fast. The comment period is open for only 2 weeks, from January 28th to February 11th of 2026. The FAA is specifically looking for feedback on electronic conspicuity. This is not just a fully open period to submit any kind of comment. Specifically on EC, electronic conspicuity. That's the technology that allows aircraft to be seen. The original proposal from last year suggested giving drones some sort of right-of-way over manned aircraft in some situation, unless the manned aircraft was broadcasting its position using something like ADS-B out or an electronic conspicuity device. EC for short. I'm going to use EC for electronic conspicuity. It's a mouthful. As you can imagine, that got a lot of pushback from the manned aircraft community, and rightfully so. I think I'm on that side as well. Now, the FAA is asking 7 different specific questions to get more data before finalizing the rule. They want to know what alternate electronic conspicuity device actually exists out there, how quickly they could get to market, and if the performance standards should actually match ADS-B. Now, this is kind of a critical moment here for the drone industry. We strongly recommend that you and your company submit your own comment directly to the FAA. Don't rely on other industry associations, although They are good as well, but don't rely just on industry association to represent your voice. This is your chance right here to provide input on the importance of universal conspicuity, which I think is very important. The key is how this is going to get done and how it actually can improve safety and reduce the cost for everyone. We're certainly going to talk about the challenges that we had seen back in the days when remote ID modules were presented as an option, and the challenges in producing them, which at the end of the day, all these challenges led to a delay in enforcing remote ID rules because these devices could not get to market quick enough. We do not want this to happen again in this case here. All right, next up this week, some cool tech that is coming for first responders. This is from SkyeBrowse. They are doing 3D modeling, and they just released a major update that uses AI in order to solve one of the biggest headache for public safety drone pilots, which is inconsistent model in quality. The new feature is called SkyeBrowse Thinking, and it automatically analyzes a 3D model as it's being processed, and if the AI detects that the model doesn't meet the quality standards, then it automatically reprocesses it using some optimized settings, all without the user having to really do anything. This is actually a game changer for crash reconstruction because what happens is that the team is always under pressure to clear the scene quickly. Manually reviewing and resubmitting that footage can add 15 to 30 minutes to the process, which at that point is, kind of a bottleneck. And of course, this new process is aiming to remove that bottleneck. In addition to all of this, SkyeBrowse is also reporting 40% faster website performance, 2 times faster internal tooling, and then the ability to upload 10 videos at once. And finally, this week, a real-world Drones for Good story. DJI Matrice 30T drone is being credited for helping saving the life of a 96-year-old woman during an apartment fire. This was in Euless, Texas. Fire crew were called to the scene around 1 a.m., but before the first engine even arrived, they had a drone automatically launched to the scene from a nearby fire station. This is part of their DFR program, Drone as First Responder. The M30T's thermal and zoom camera immediately gave the incident commander a very clear view, showing a heavy fire that had already broken through the roof. Based on the live feed, they were able to call for a second alarm and requesting aid from cities that were nearby. This was actually critical because the firefighters got on the scene, and then a bystander told them that there was a woman that was trapped inside. Because the chief had already provided backup or asked for backup because of the drone, the initial crew was able to focus entirely on the rescue. They entered through the window, pulled the woman safely, and then she was taken to the hospital with only minor burns, which is amazing, and she's obviously expected to survive and recover. This is a textbook example of how drones are a massive force multiplier for first responders. Fantastic work here from the Euless Fire Department. Good job. All right, join us in the community for Post-Flight. This is the show where we are going to recap all of these stories, share our opinion that are not always suitable for YouTube, and then also discuss some of the drone part suppliers that are shutting down. This is an additional story that we just didn't have time to talk about in this one. That's it. You have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the show on Monday. We have a bit of a surprise on Monday. We talked about it last Monday, but join us. It's at 4 p.m. Arizona time, Mountain Standard Time, and we'll see you then.